Woohoo!
Back
So,
again.
oh yeah, with no crying, right? I'm sorry. Yeah, it just makes it more fun if we mess with each other. So don't forget about Lenny, y'all.
Yeah.
You know,
Show Lenny some love. We still haven't done our Ask Lenny yet, but
we haven't.
we're developing. We're still in the developing stages.
This stuff is tough because you know, I run an organic fertilizing business. He works at one of the best organic fertilizer suppliers. So really when we do this stuff, it's like when we can find time to make these things happen, because we feel that you truly deserve to know what the best stuff is out there and to drop some proper education on soil health.
Right.
Because there's a lot of information out there and it can be hard to navigate on what's good and what's bad. So let me tell you, if Lenny's involved, and no crying Ryan, and the hippie with a haircut, who probably needs a haircut,
You know it's gonna be good.
you know it's good if it's hippie approved.
That's right. That is right. And so we're back again. We're gonna talk about Humates Plus.
Yes. In a tiny bit about MicroLife Hybrid.
Right.
We'll tell you why when we get there.
Yes. Yes.
So you can see it there. You can see the Humates Plus and the Hybrid 004 Ryan.
Right. So I guess I'm going to start off with that. That's something we don't normally do. So it is available in a 9-pound jar or in a 40-pound bag. So
Right. Make it
just
easy.
different options. Right.
Different application rates. You got a big old lawn. You got a little tiny spot. Because this stuff, even though I primarily use it on lawns, it works great in a flower bed too.
That's exactly right. And I guess we really talk about application rates, but I like to point this out. So this product goes out at 10 pounds per 1,000 square feet. And I just told you this is a 9-pound jar. So this 9-pound jar can cover 900 square feet.
Or
It's pretty significant.
it'll almost pretty much cover 1,000 square feet.
You can do 1,000. But I mean, I think it's pretty stout. Not too many people can buy a jar
And
this
actually-
big and put it over an entire lawn.
So I use this all the time, and what I find is that really if you double the application rate, if it's your first time to use it, you're going to get way better results.
Right.
That is what's beautiful about Humates Plus, is that it's truly something like, if you, I use too much,
Don't
your
worry about
grass
it.
gets greener.
That's right. And this is the product that's at the beginning of our fertilization schedule. The way I like to describe it to people is we say when you put down Humates Plus, you're setting the foundation of your lawn to therefore be able to accept the full NPK ratio fertilizer you come back with later. So, chock full of nutrients.
Be careful with that, y'all, okay? Because around here, I like to emphasize that I don't worry about NPK. It's about supporting soil biology
Right.
all the time. Now, some of the products that we do and we'll talk about do have an NPK ratio. It's very, they're much lower than a lot of products out there because they are based on plant-based amino acids.
Right. Natural ingredients.
Right. Stuff that feeds the soil so your soil can feed your plant.
Right.
Vast difference. Just, you know, it lays the foundation for awesome, healthy soil.
Right. This is what you use to support your soil biology. I mean, that's what you're doing.
Right. It's also called like compost.
Oh yeah, concentrated compost in a bag.
Concentrated compost in a bag. So you don't have to worry about how it smells. Okay. It's dusty, but all the dust stuff is it's biological inoculant package, so it's super groovy.
It's all the good stuff going everywhere.
Right.
What other things do we want to talk about before we get into the ingredients? I think we can talk about more in a minute, but
Let's get into the ingredients, because that's a lot of what makes it what it is.
That's exactly right. So the first thing that we put into Humates, I bet nobody can guess it, but it is Humates. We put Humates into
Oh my
Humate
God!
Plus. I know.
You put
It's
Humates
kinda
and
crazy,
Humates Plus?
but Humates
Wow.
Plus. Humates is organic matter. It is very good stuff.
Carbon rich.
Very carbon rich. It's long chain carbon molecules is what they are. And I like to tell people not only are you enhancing soil structure with Humate, you are also giving food to those microbes in the soil. So not only is it an NFB, it's nitrogen fixing bacteria in there, but it's SSB supporting soil biology. So
Yes.
all of them can, it's like a little house for microbes with food.
Right.
And you can't beat that.
No, not at all.
So the second thing that we put in there is seaweed. We've talked about seaweed before, kelp. Seaweed by itself has over 60 minerals.
Dang.
That's a lot. So
and natural plant hormones, root stimulant.
And I like that it's from the ocean. I mean, any element that we talk about that comes from the ocean, fish, kelp, there's so many nutrients inside of the ocean to bring that to your plant. It's pretty good.
Right. And I use that all the time in my applications. I use busloads of seaweed.
Right.
Because it works. And also busloads of humic acids and humates. Obviously, because one of the things I use the most of in my granulars is Humates Plus.
Right. That's right. So the next thing we put in there is yucca wetting agent. We've talked about yucca before. Yucca kind of helps break open those tight clay soils, allows the water and the nutrients to get down around the root zone and near the rhizosphere. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
And it also has some anti-insect properties. So it not only opens up your soil and allows what you're putting into the soil to get where it needs to go, but it also has some little anti-insect properties.
So just to be kind of more clear on this, because when we say these things, I want y'all to understand what it really means, or at least what I would want you to think it really means,
right.
is so it helps stuff to be healthier. It's a prevention, okay?
Right.
Don't look at it as like a silver bullet. Oh, AJ, does that mean I'm never going to get chinch bugs?
Right.
I wish, I hope, I pray. But the reality of it is, just like people who eat smoothies and work out and stuff, right? We can all get sick.
Right.
Plants can also get sick, but it is a preventative that will help reduce that from occurring. And then also, the other way I look at stuff, because I have to fix lawns all the time,
right,
is it's not about when something's gonna, or like if something's gonna happen, it's when. And then how fast can you get it to bounce back?
Right.
So when you use stuff like MicroLife Humates Plus, you are gonna help prevent stuff from happening, right? But when it does, you're also gonna set yourself up for success to help bring it back faster.
Bracing that system, essentially.
Right. So I just want to be clear when we talk about stuff that helps fight insects. In no way are these insecticides.
Right.
They are not. They are not the perfect silver bullet. Nothing is, except for maybe gasoline. You burn it all and kill it.
Right. And we don't want to do that to plants.
No, we don't. Don't do that in your soil, okay?
So the next thing that we put in there is potassium sulfate. We've talked about potassium sulfate before. Potassium is your electrolyte builder. Your enhancing of your root cells and your health. Building up your immune system, and then sulfur, adding that acidic element to the soil.
Oh, it's true. It adds the acidic element slightly. Now, don't get too confused. Don't do a sulfur application.
Right.
Don't do that. But this is something Betsy Ross taught me. Okay, Betsy Ross owns
Sustainable Growth, Texas.
And she makes her own grass-fed beef, right? 84-year-old lady who gives speeches with more vivaciousness.
She's got fire like nobody I've ever seen.
Right. And so what she said is, AJ, don't discredit sulfur. It is the ultimate key that allows everything to go in and out.
Right.
So sulfates, like, they're important, super important. They help all the other nutrients be taken up.
Right. That's right. And sulfur also helps, not completely, but helps balance your pH. I shouldn't say balance. It helps contribute to what pH you want, because it'll help unlock some of those nutrients. Some soils need to be in a specific pH for iron, boron, molybdenum to be available in plant-ready form, and sulfur can help that do that.
And he's exactly right, but I just want to kind of put my own 2 cents out there, okay? Just like I don't subscribe to focusing on NPK ratios, I do not subscribe to worrying about pH. Because if y'all go check out my Facebook page or my website at hippiefertilizing.com, you will see we get before and afters, right? We bring back lawns, and people ask me all the time, "Hey AJ, did you do a pH analysis?" And I'm like, "No, I did a SSB analysis."
Supported the soil biology.
Support your soil biology, and a lot of times this will naturally help balance things out. Now, I do want to also make this clear. We're in the Houston, Texas area.
Right.
So what's necessarily good for you and what's good for me may not be the same thing, but I can tell you this. Feeding soil biology, no matter where you're at, is a winner.
It's very true.
So just to throw that out there.
Like I refer to any microbe in the soil that's beneficial as a doctor, a police officer. I call them the unpaid labor force, because if you support them, they will do all the work that you might not necessarily have to extra do without supporting them. So if you're not supporting your soil biology, you're not allowing them to complete their work at their full capacity.
So, the way you said that gave me an idea, though. They really are like, if you do pay them,
right,
then they work better for you.
You pay
because
them nutrients, minerals.
Well, plants give out what's called exudates, okay? And I listened to it in a video that was based on soils and stuff like that. It says, nature, left alone, has the perfect economy.
All right.
Right? Everything does give and take to each other, right? So they're very much a well-paid labor force.
That's right.
But you got to give them the right currency.
That's exactly
which
right.
is other soil nutrients, sugars, carbons, exudates, things like that.
Everything's just working together.
They don't work off of Bitcoin.
No. No Bitcoin.
And they don't work off of freaking ammonium nitrate and salts.
No, none of it. No synthetic anything.
Yeah.
I have a quote on my computer that's by Albert Einstein that says, "If you look deep into nature, you will understand everything." And it's true, because if a tree falls down in the forest and happens to block a stream, it's not like everybody else in that entire community can just say, "Get up, tree, get out of here. What are you doing?" No, they have to learn to get water over that tree, get plants through that tree, get things done, because they all have to work together.
Well, not only that, when the tree falls over, right, sometimes it can dam up an area, creating more area for life to grow around it because that water's being retained. Or when that tree falls over, what happens, and some people have said through the reading and watching videos that I watch, that the tree is more alive when it dies than when it was alive, because now it supports so much more different life, different biology.
It's become a home for other animals that didn't have a home before. It's become this for something that wasn't there before.
Like when you see fungus growing on trees and the mycology just comes alive.
That's exactly right.
And you see these little flowering mushroom fruits everywhere.
They're on palette earlier. Okay, so now then, keep going. We also have molasses inside of MicroLife Humates Plus. We love molasses. We've talked about molasses. Molasses is probably, to me, one of the biggest SSBers, if we can say that, soil support and biology. I mean,
it's so true.
It literally is good stuff. Good stuff.
So, a little bit about molasses. Everyone needs to know molasses and how groovy it is. It has iron, calcium, magnesium, manganese, B vitamins. It has humans,
right?
Which is like forms of carbon,
right,
for the soil.
There's three different types of. You got your humans, your humus, and then your humic acids.
Well, humans is in molasses.
The top one. Okay,
and the sugars that are in molasses that make it sweet, although good organic molasses does not taste great. It is also a form of sugar and carbon and carbohydrate that gives the soil and the microbes energy so that they can do more of their job to help out the other plants. And also the calcium and magnesium, along with supporting all that good bacteria, really does a huge job on improving your soil structure.
Right. Something that I like about molasses is, I kind of describe it, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I like to refer to molasses as kind of like the sun in a bottle, because what the sun does to the plant, the plant creates photosynthesis with the sun. And your photosynthesis creates your carbohydrates, which creates your sugars, and what you're doing when you put molasses into your plant, you're giving that plant those sugars. So earlier when I talked about if you make a plant work too hard to get the things that it needs, it can kind of stress it out a little bit more. So if you give the plant what it needs, it can put more energy towards growing as opposed to finding.
So it's almost like molasses is another form, in a sense, of exudates. But it's not exudates, because exudates comes from the plant. That's what photosynthesis is all about.
Right.
And what most people don't know is that like really 70 to 80% of the plant energy that's derived or made through photosynthesis is given back out in the rhizosphere to soil biology in the form of exudates.
That's exactly right.
So that's pretty neat. I never really thought about molasses being like, boom, soil's power of the sun.
Right. I mean, it's true. Because I mean, some people, if they've got trees and they've got an area where they can't grow, and I'm not saying that you've got the sun in your bottle, so if you've got an area of bare soil and you want to create a whole bunch of grass, this is your answer. I'm not saying that.
It's part of your answer, though.
I am
sure.
If you wanted to enhance
it just
that
takes time.
soil, right? It's the time that it takes. If you wanted to do that over time, you could do that. But usually, you would add carbon quicker, which would be compost and/or MicroLife Humates Plus. You can do that with.
So, side note, you know, one of the biggest portions in soil that makes up the organic matter is dead microbes.
Right.
So, with molasses as well, within 30 minutes of spraying molasses, your bacteria will double.
Wow.
Okay, so how fast it all works, that means in another short amount of time. Now, you also got to understand this is on a very microbiology level. Okay, so it's like you just produced 100,000 more microbes. They all die. They're very freaking tiny, so it is a process.
Right.
But that's a huge part of you helping build up more of your organic matter in your soil, because you just, bam, you loaded it with bacteria or made them double, and now they died and became more organic matter for your soil.
That's exactly right. So keep going. So there is nitrogen fixing bacteria in Humates Plus, and we specifically put it on the bag mainly because of exactly what AJ was just talking about. You giving something to the plant, and you're not only feeding the plant, you're feeding the soil. And when you're feeding the soil, you're feeding the microbes. And those microbes will eat, some microbes eat other microbes, which then they die, and then they produce an exudate, and that is something, food for the plant.
So the other way that it works too, then this is so fascinating. What's one of the most abundant elements in the air that we breathe?
That's right, nitrogen.
Nitrogen.
We've talked about
I know y'all just took a deep breath with me. Anyway,
have we talked about above an acre of soil? So above any acre of soil, there is
no, we haven't.
30,000 tons of nitrogen.
Woo!
It's one of the specific reasons why we put nitrogen-fixing bacteria into our products. So 30,000 tons above an acre of soil. That's 30,000 tons of atmospheric nitrogen that microbes pull out of the air, mineralize, push out, put into the soil, and something else can eat that and obtain some nitrogen.
Right. So, and that's again kind of why I stay away from NPK ratios.
Right.
Because a lot of what stuff needs is around us. We just have to unlock it.
That's exactly right.
Like nitrogen. We breathe it every day, all day. We would die without it being in the air. And so nitrogen fixing bacteria is more important, I would argue, than actual sources of nitrogen, because most of them are not HIPAA approved.
Right. They're synthetic or not familiar to the plant is really what they are, or familiar to the soil rather.
Yeah.
So continuing down our list, some other things that we've got in there, we've got iron and sulfur. We've talked about iron, talked about sulfur.
Well, I mean, we all know iron helps green stuff up. But again, a lot of these things help also with plant and cell structure.
Right.
And they have various jobs, which we'll get back to on later, because we both have the same book, Teeming with Nutrients.
That's right. I just read it this morning. So.
And we're going to bust that wide open for you.
We will.
So,
we will.
And
so last but certainly not least, I mean, we talked about some bacteria, nitrogen fixing bacteria, but what the main caveat that makes Humates Plus its real all biological fertilizer is the inoculant that's in it. And that it contains the supreme inoculant. Same inoculant that we put into 64, acidifier, that guy, Humates Plus, and hybrid. So it's got your Bacillus licheniformis, Bacillus subtilis, you got some Streptomycetes in there, some Pseudomonas, and of course, your
Bacillus
endo and
subtilis.
mycorrhizal.
Because it's the illest. Oh yeah. Oh my god. Amino acids, biotin, folic acid, B complex, vitamins, natural sugars. I mean, MicroLife Humates Plus is, to me, especially for turfgrass, it's one of the ultimate things out there.
It's one of the best. I mean, I tell people all the time, with a 40-pound bag, so if you bought this 40-pound bag, you could do the equivalent of 4 cubic yards of compost with a spreader and a bag, instead of a whole bunch of wheelbarrows. Unless you got a fancy machine like AJ has.
I'm going to tell you though, if you're having a rough lawn, and usually that's why people go in search of something different to do, because most of what you were told is probably bogus. 2 bags. But if you were going to use 1, use 2, water it in real good, and let your grass grow high, man. Right. 4 inches, St. Augustine grass, okay? Last but not least, though, let's throw in.
Let me say one more thing first. So,
sorry.
You talked about if you're using this product for the first time, Humates Plus for the first time, you probably want to use double the amount. That makes complete sense, because what you're doing is you're mitigating, you're trying to get rid of and absorb all the harm that you put on your soil before. Obviously, if you have poor soil structure, you weren't doing good things to it previously, so now putting this product on it is going to help it, but it's not a magic pill. Right. So double dosing makes sense, or putting one application, seeing what it does for about a month or even 3 weeks, and then putting another one. Doesn't harm, doesn't hurt. Did we talk about that?
You could definitely spread them like 2 weeks apart and be baller.
Right. So now our other friend.
So Humates Plus and Hybrid are very, very, very much alike. But Hybrid has urea methylene in it. Right? It's, to me, to my knowledge, one of the almost only true slow release forms of a high nitrogen on the market. Let me tell y'all something, okay? Because I know there's a lot of you out there that have Bermuda. I got that Bermuda because it looks so good, or Zoysia, okay? And of course, in my area, tons of us have St. Augustine. Well, Bermuda and Zoysia can suck up some nitrogen, man.
Okay.
And I saw this on a customer's house the other day. She has Zoysia in her backyard, dog pee spots. But unlike it just burning like St. Augustine would, okay, around the pea spots, ultra freaking green, because it can handle a higher nitrogen load. Well, guess what? Hybrid kind of bridges the gap on what's safe to use for all 3. Okay, Zoysia, Bermuda, and St. Augustine. St. Augustine cannot handle the high nitrogen load that other products out there are. Like if you're worried about the NPK and you want your grass to grow and everything.
Right.
Sorry, I hear about it all the time. What are the fertilizer ratios, man? I'm like, don't feed your soil first. Just focus on that.
That's true.
Okay, so it's a 20-05. It will make your grass freaking thrive and come alive. And then boom, when you put them together, it even helps to kind of tone down a little bit more of that nitrogen factor, which coming from MicroLife Hybrid is not a big deal, I promise you. It works really awesome, but then you put them together and it even further just supports like all the nutrients truly go into your plants in a way that's going to be even healthier.
That's exactly right. I mean, the main thing about, so it is methylene urea, but it's, we call it Neutralene. It's just the name for it. Neutralene is a 16-week slow release. Mm-hmm. So that's the beauty of a slow release fertilizer. This with a high NPK ratio being, or high N, being a 16-week slow release. You get the first 1/3 delivered to your plants in your system within the first 3 to 6 weeks, 6 weeks to 12 weeks the next third, 12 weeks on the rest of it.
Let's say this in the fancy way, like it does here on the package, okay? MicroLife Hybrid uses Neutralene as a nitrogen source. Neutralene is not organic, but has a covalent carbon bond that benefits soil microbes.
Right.
So it still aligns perfectly with SSB.
That's right.
While giving you something that's going to make your grass super freaking thrive and come alive. Because I know sometimes I'm in a pinch. I'm like, AJ, it's not growing. Let me pull out my bag of tricks.
Right.
Boom!
And Didn't you say you put it under some grass?
Oh, so when we do sod installations, on occasion, and a couple of the other landscapers that I know that have been finally like, hey Jay, obviously I'm not doing this right. What's up?
Right.
I'm like,
Need your expertise.
Hey, throw some Humates Plus together and throw some hybrid together, put them down, and watch what happens. I went to go spray a lawn like a week ago or so. My buddy Josh with Sharps Tree and Landscape, he did the sod installation. Beautiful job. I went in this backyard and I was like, where's the new sod? I didn't even know at first. Luckily, I have an eye for these things because this is what I've been doing for the last 10 years. So I finally noticed the little lines of the sod, but this was 6 weeks.
Wow.
Okay?
It's
6
grown
weeks.
all in.
Yes. For any of y'all who know about sod installations and dealing with this stuff, oh my God, to get it looking like an established turf
Right.
in 6 weeks, right when we're coming into the heat of summer,
It's pretty stout right there.
I was like, boy, listen to me, and it worked. Praise the soil gods. Thank you, Jesus.
Good.
Oh, drop the fertilizer. So, and also MicroLife has, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't it have the same biological package?
It does.
As-
MicroLife Humates Plus and Hybrid have the same exact. They have the Supreme knockout package.
So if y'all want to look that up, go to microlifefertilizers.com and check out, what is it, BioSupreme?
Right. BioSupreme. If you look on the left-hand tab, it'll say biological inoculants, and you'll see BioSupreme, BioCM, and I think Crop Booster might be there. But
Yeah. Well, the one to find out if you're curious more of what makes it so freaking amazing is go look up the BioSupreme.
and
because-
it'll tell you what they are and what the properties they have: antifungal properties, nitrogen fixing, bacteria, nutrient cycling,
Right.
composition, things like that.
Well, I'm here to tell you, okay? And there's so much more to learn, even about each specific bacteria and fungi, like the roles that they play with plants and interacting in the soil is vast.
That's right.
So that's why I don't worry about NPK, because it's all about the biology, really. Because once you do the biology, it starts to use all these nutrients and do things. And also reduce your thatch.
Right. Yeah. Nobody wants that.
Yeah. Thatch that.
Get that out. And also, you can leave a comment too. If you, I may in the description. No, not may. I will in the description. I'll put the link to that we're talking about to each inoculant individually. You can check them out for yourself.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please give us a like, subscribe, share with your friends. If y'all got some lawn buddies and you're like, oh my God, we've been trying this and we've been trying that, it's driving you insane.
That's right.
Try what we recommend, because I have 2 rules in my business. 2 main rules. Number 1, it has to support soil biology. I know I say it a lot, but I'm never going to stop. And number 2, you have to be able to touch it with your bare hands.
Right.
If you can't touch it with your bare hands, then your children shouldn't be around it. Your pets shouldn't be around it. It's probably not good for soil biology. Here, give me some of that. Give me some. There. Here, I know this is gross, y'all, but my rules are serious.
What's it taste like?
Minerally, a little bit bitter. It actually tastes
Any taste of humate in there?
a little bit. Tiny bit. That's a part of the minerally part, but that's how serious I am about this. I don't recommend for everyone to go grab a bag of this stuff and go eat it, okay? But like, that's how serious I am.
You would do that with traditional fertilizers. I
No.
don't challenge anybody to bring a fertilizer about and do that what he just said with it.
I don't challenge them. Don't challenge them.
Okay, don't.
All right, we're not trying to do that with pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, insecticides,
True.
any of that stuff. But that's how serious I am about what I use and the rules in my business, because if it's not safe for me, it's not safe for you, and it's not safe for your family, your pets, or our environment that we all share.
That's exactly right.
And we all share the air and pretty much kind of the water and even the soil. So,
Support it, don't damage it.
right, treat it how you want to treat pets, safe and with love and with care. Right?
Right.
So, thank y'all very much. Remember, nobody knows grass like a hippie. And check out hippiefertilizing.com. Peace.